He has Jack the Ripper's knife.
Jack the Ripper's knife?
Imagine the horrors the poor woman had to go through.
There would have been 2 cuts to the throat.
This is actually a thumb.
Oh, wow. My name is Steve Santini. I buy and sell the darkest, most gruesome artifacts on the planet. Welcome to the dark side. I love stopping in and browsing antique shops. You never know what you're going to find, and I'm always looking to add to my collection. I love coming here. It's just loaded up with stuff. Oh, check it out. It's an antique poison bottle.
Yeah.
And it's got the skull and crossbones raised in the glass. That's amazing.
What do you want for it?
15 bucks. Not even worth haggling over because this is such a good price.
Quite nice.
Looks like a... Okay. Dude, be careful with that, man.
Shish kebab.
That looks like, let's see, Knights of Columbus, probably. Knights of Columbus, sword and scabbard, 115 bucks. Oh, man, this is an innocent-looking little thing. It's called a curry comb. It's for combing the horses, brushing your horses.
Yeah?
But in the Roman days, this was one of the most feared instruments of torture. When they started to execute and torture Christians in the arena or martyrs or whatever, they would have the men and women suspended nude, and they pull these things down the sides and the fronts. This would totally skin a person. Hey, Vince, how's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Good to see you. Yeah.
And I heard you guys were really talking about some pretty macabre stuff back there.
Well, it's what we do.
Yeah, I know. I think I've got something you'd really be interested in.
What, something dark?
Oh, it's in a dark place. I've got it tucked away in my barn.
Awesome.
So you want to have a little trip down?
Yeah, let's
go
check
have
it
a look.
out. I love places like this, Vince. There's so many boxes and stuff to root through. You never know what you'll find in a place like this.
No, you never do. And I've got something a little extra special in this box
That's
for you.
the thing you were telling me about.
That's the one.
You
Here
know
it
what?
is.
This better not be a severed head or something.
Nah, I keep those up in the fridge.
Oh, great.
This is something that, well, you know, I've had it for a while.
Oh,
I think you'll find this extra special.
I know what that is.
You know what that is,
The
eh?
Chastity belt. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Where the heck did you get this thing?
Well, you know what? Back in the 70s, I was apprenticing in Italy to restore antiques.
Wow.
Went into a house, I picked up some furniture and some other items, and this was among them in a nice old wardrobe.
This is interesting to me. I mean, of course, because of the mythology partly that comes around it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was said that these were put on fair damsels by the knights that went off into battle, and their wives were forced to wear them to ensure fidelity till the knight returned. I could do 1,000 and sleep at night.
Well, you know, I've been hanging on to this for such a long time. It's 30 years. It's a beautiful piece. I'm going to make you a special offer today only, $12.50. I can do that. Have another look at it.
$12.50.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Sure, $12.50. Thanks so much.
Deal.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, I think it's found a good home.
It's amazing. This belt turns out to be authentic. It could be worth a lot of money, up to 4 times what I paid for it. I need to do some more research, though, and dig into it. I don't know enough about it yet. I was sitting in a barber shop having a shave when Steph stopped by to bring me up to speed on some business.
Your friend Wayne,
Yeah,
he called, and he has an item that you need to check out.
what's he got?
He has Jack the Ripper's knife.
Jack the Ripper's knife?
Yeah, it's
Are
the
you
actual
kidding?
weapon believed to be used in the murders of Jack the
No
Ripper.
way. Jack the Ripper is one of the most iconic serial killers of all time. He didn't just stab women to death, he removed their organs. How can somebody have a knife and say this is the thing the guy used when we don't even know who the killer was?
Well, he bought it apparently from England, and he has a story to go with it.
You know what? Wayne's not a person to lie or stretch the truth since I've known him.
Yeah.
He must really believe this. Tell you what, I don't believe it, but have him come by. I'm
Okay.
curious enough. I want to see this. I want to hear the story. Can you have him come by today?
Yeah,
ASAP.
yeah, I'll call him.
Wayne's been a buddy of mine for a long time. We're both authors, and we met at a Haunters convention, both pitching our books.
I was contacted by a couple out of the UK, told me a fantastic tale about this knife. One of their ancestors, David Martin, was a dustman in Whitechapel.
Victorian garbage man.
Correct, a garbage man.
In Whitechapel.
In Whitechapel, in the fall of 1888.
That's
Jack
the Ripper murders, right?
Correct. He found it in a gutter 2 blocks from Hanbury Street.
No way.
Yeah, Hanbury Street was the site of the second murder.
Oh, come on, man, you're s***ing me.
I'm not. It's a tall tale, but that's what they're telling me.
Why didn't they turn it into the cops?
Yeah, the story I was told was, you know, he brought it home, wanted to turn it into police, and his wife was said, no, you're not going to turn it into police. They're looking to pin this on somebody. You show up to the
that's
cops
true.
with that in their hand, they're
be
going to pin it
screwed.
right on you. You know, the other funny story, Steve, is they told me that it's a pretty nice knife for Whitechapel. And,
Sure, it would have been.
They wanted to keep it. They actually use it to carve the turkeys and hams at Christmas.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Get me the Ripper's knife,
get the
love. Let's
Ripper's
call up
knife
the
to-
turkey.
yeah,
Did you buy this? Did
Yes, I bought it. They offered it to me. I thought it would be inspiration. I paid $4,000 for it. It was good for me.
It's a lot of cash for a good story and a
Yeah.
fantastic-looking knife. Why are you selling it?
I'd be honest with you, Steve. Like, I bought it for inspiration, but you know, I start playing with it, and an hour would go by, and I'd still be like playing with it. And honestly, I don't like the way it makes me feel, man.
What do you want for it?
Well, I've got 4,000 into it, and why don't you have your team look at it, take the knife, have it for a few days, take your time with it. You're not going to run away. Let me know what you discover,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
I'll take a stab at it. This is the coolest challenge I've faced.
All right.
Thanks, Wayne.
Well, best of luck with it.
Man, that is a nice knife. I'm extremely skeptical this could have been one of Jack the Ripper's knives. So I'm taking it to English antique specialist John Allen. He's helped me authenticate things in the past, and I'm hoping he can put my fears to rest. So can you tell me anything about the blade or maybe the maker?
I certainly can. It's a bone-handled carving knife, drop-forged, made in Sheffield, and this one actually has on it Cutlers to Her Majesty and the stamps VR, Victoria Regina, meaning that this was actually made during the reign of Queen Victoria. This, of course, puts it anywhere from 1837 to 1901.
Would you believe that something like this could be capable of, you know, committing those murders?
Absolutely not.
It wouldn't?
No. This is a carving knife. This is used for carving expensive cuts of meat. It's not the kind of knife that would be sharp enough to open up someone's jugular with a single slash.
You mean to tell me that the finest cutlerers, one of the finest, couldn't make a knife, this is carbon steel, that sharp that it would just, shoom, one swipe, take the neck open?
Of course they would, but that's not one of those knives. Perhaps this knife.
This certainly looks like a poor man's knife.
It's a poor man's knife. That's the kind of knife you would expect to find in Whitechapel.
It's very crude looking, isn't it?
Of course.
What a wicked blade. I could see something small like this being used for the, pardon me, the gutting. You'd have to really, catch somebody unawares, whereby with this one sweep, you're cutting right back.
Yes, but the wonderful thing about this kind of knife is it's fairly readily concealable about your person. It is the kind of knife, the quality of knife that you would expect to find in Whitechapel.
Right.
It's the kind of knife that you would expect to find around the period that the Whitechapel murders took place. There are hundreds of things that Steve could do to try and prove the authenticity of this knife, none of which I believe would actually bring him any closer to the truth. I therefore think that his best bet would be to not bother.
It's not good news.
No, I'm afraid not.
More research to be done.
Yeah. I'm taking my chastity belt today to be seen by Dr. Klassen. He's a medieval studies expert and an author on a book about these curious devices. This piece dated, purportedly, to the 18th century, 1700s. And I mean, I don't know a lot about chastity belts, but as I collect torture instruments, and I know this is not a torture device, it is creepy enough looking in the collection. So, is it that old, Doctor?
Well, this is first of all wonderful to see this, and it is a torture instrument. Imagine the horrors the poor woman had to go through.
Yeah.
All the effluents, not cleaning herself properly or not at all. This is awful. Infections would happen right away. But
Wow.
what we really know is that these chastity belts were all satirical. Men's jokes.
Right.
So men laughed about that because they all knew as soon if you have a blacksmith who creates these pieces, in other words, creates the lock, hence creates the key, what can the lover do? go to the
blacksmith and pay him for a duplicate cake.
Pay a little bit more money, and then you have access.
You're telling me that this isn't even something that was used? It's not real?
This was something produced most likely about 1880 in England, mass-produced, because they opened up medieval museums all over the world, and they needed to reflect on the dark sides.
I've seen them. I've physically seen these devices in museums in Europe. I mean, what about those?
All over medieval museums, right? Particularly, let's say, the British Museum. And it's gone.
It's gone?
It's gone. They have realized it was so unauthentic that they could not prove.
So, Doc, what do you think the value is of this?
Hard to say, depends a little bit on the market value, the interest in general, but it's fine metal. It looks authentic, although it's not authentic. Hard to say. I mean, maybe $500, maybe $700. How much did you pay?
More than that.
More than that.
Over $1,000 for it. I appreciate the information, but I sure wished I'd read your book before I went and bought it. Could have saved myself some money.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Clausen.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.
I was hoping to confirm the oral history on this knife, so I had Steph do some research on David Martin, the Victorian dustman who allegedly found it.
I've been trying to find information on these Victorian dustmen. It's basically impossible. I cannot link that knife to David Martin.
David Martin, the dustman.
There's no way.
Oh, man.
The records don't even go back that far to begin with. I don't think there's any way that we would be able to tell. Most of them were contractors.
Not good.
You know, this company would just get random guys who want to be dustmen or who are dustmen and bring them in. There's
Wow.
a picture. That's what they look like.
Oh, wow.
Look at them, eh? Wearing white.
Yeah, it's a sign of cleanliness.
Cleanliness?
Very clean. Look
really?
at these guys.
They're filthy. I mean, they would have been better off to wear black. I mean, they're all covered in ashes and soot. We hit a dead end with the story of this Victorian dustman that was alleged to have found this knife. But I'm not ready to give up yet. There's something haunting me and nagging at me about this knife, and I'm determined to get to the truth. In my line of business, I get to meet the most interesting people with the most bizarre collections. I'm taking a break from authenticating items to go visit Ed and Sika. I hear they have a stunning collection, and maybe I can bring something home to add to my treasure trove. Oh boy, a lot of grim, ghastly stuff here I can see right away.
That's like my bedroom.
Yeah. What's with this small-sized coffin?
It's actually a child's viewing casket. But usually what they did was they brought the child's bedding down, put it in, laid the child into the box, and they'd put flowers and things, and then they'd photograph them, and they'd also leave them for viewing as well.
What is something like this worth? I've never seen another one, and it looks quite primitive.
You're probably about $1,000 on that, just for the rarity of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What? Oh.
Funny how people always say that.
Can I see some of those? I mean, what sorts of things are they?
It's actually, it's just...
Flesh?
It's alcohol, yeah. It's actual...
Oh,
So
wow.
that's real.
That's
not...
real. And this is actually a thumb digit.
A human
A
thumb.
human thumb digit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's disgusting.
You can't really put a price on something like that then, right?
Well, I'm sure the piece of flesh you could probably get for about $100.
I'm worth a lot. Yeah. What the heck is this? You know, I didn't see this earlier. It's got restraints. I mean, they're
It
leather.
is actually a restraining chair for psychiatric use.
Oh.
Well, in this chair, too, it's probably about 1958, 1960. It's much more modern in the terms of the stuff that we usually collect.
Could you use this for an escape?
I don't know. You know, it'd be a bitch to get out of something
Well,
like this.
especially
That's the
the
point.
waist strap, because that actually locks.
Is this something you consider selling?
Well, to someone like you, yes, because I know you would appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate it, all right. I don't know if I could get out of it, but I sure appreciate it. What's the best you could do on this piece?
I don't know, maybe 600?
I was coming in around 175. I mean,
Ooh. I don't know, that's pretty low. I mean,
if 175 is too low, what do you think you can come in at?
meet in the middle, like 350?
350. I'm gonna do it. 350. I'm gonna do it. Absolutely.
right.
Thank you so much, because
Thanks, Steve.
it fits and it's got such a dark past. You just look at it and you just feel the vibes coming off. Going to see ripperologist Christopher George. I'm hoping he can help me get to the bottom of this alleged Jack the Ripper knife. Being a ripperologist yourself, you've got a keen insight into these murders most people don't have. Could a knife like this make the wounds? I mean, it certainly seems to be from the period.
Well, it's a knife that would have been long enough to do the murders, and it definitely is Victorian. It has VR on it. That shows you that it's a period knife, and if it was found in the right place at the right time, it could have been the Ripper's knife.
Well, could you explain to me how a long-bladed knife like that would have killed, say, the second victim?
Well, I mean, here is a diagram, modern diagram, showing the throat cuts.
Wow, those are deep.
Yeah, there would have been 2 cuts to the throat, and that would have severed her vocal cords, and Annie Chapman's head was almost severed. So as soon as he's killed her with the throat cut, then he would open up the abdomen and make a jagged cut like this.
This knife here, I mean, the surgical ones that you have here on display, all seem to have a very thicker, more solid blade.
Well, it's a bit thicker and it's also rigid. This does not bend at all, whereas your knife visibly and physically does bend.
So when you're cutting, or gutting, for lack of a better, upwards, with a knife like this, we're going to perhaps have a more jagged cut, because it's a more difficult knife to control.
So yes, it could have caused that sort of jagged cut.
Chris, there's a theory that Jack the Ripper could have been a person who is very well-to-do.
Okay.
And with the markings that are on the knife here, wouldn't that kind of point to that?
I mean, a poor person wouldn't have that, would they, in Whitechapel?
Well, yeah, but he might have stolen it, or he might have found it on the street. There were well-to-do people who lived in Whitechapel. So,
really?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I never heard
Reverend
that.
Barnett lived there. Other clergymen and doctors and so on.
It's amazing.
Yeah, oh no, it was a mix of people that lived there.
Could this be the Ripper's knife?
It could be, as you might say, it's in the ballpark, you know.
Right.
But all we know is that it's a period knife found in the right area. But the problem is that we don't know enough about the killer.
Right.
I mean, if he was a doctor, he would have used a knife like this, no doubt about it.
Right.
If he was a poor man, as a lot of people think that the Ripper was, he may have used a knife like this.
But aside from that, we have an oral history and a period knife.
That's it.
I'm taking this knife to my friend Tamara, the High Wiccan priestess, in the hopes that she can use psychometry to tell me more about its past. I didn't really want to mention anything about it because I'd like just to see what comes off it cold.
There's death and anger and fear. It's weird because there's 2 layers to this. It's like there's this layer of normal, proper, family, happy people.
And what is the other layer?
The other layer is this fear and anger and rage and death.
One death?
No, more than one. Women.
Were they ever caught?
Close. That was when it went into the sewer.
Meeting with the Ripperologist, and also what Tamara had to say, her impressions and psychic vibes about this knife, have convinced me that this is something that I want to own. I don't have 100% concrete proof this was ever in the hands of Jack the Ripper, but the Ripperologist and Tamara have convinced me I want to buy it. This kind of a thing for me is a very different thing. I am after this personally. I can never put it in a museum exhibit because nobody's going to believe it. I don't have the proof to back it up. And I can never resell it. I can certainly not give you what you paid for it, which was $4,000.
Understandable. I've got a lot invested in it, but I'll be honest with you. I've got my money out of it. It inspired me to write the book, and it's got me well on my way to the second book, and I really don't like it. So why don't you take it?
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I don't want it. It's got a bad vibe, and that's why I called you to begin with.
That's awesome.
I was hoping that you were going to find their 100% proof that it is the Ripper's knife. I don't need that 100% proof. It's disturbing, whatever it is.
Thanks, man. This is amazing. What a gift. Wow, what a week this has been. Riding around trapped with you in this hearse. At least when I get a knife like this, it takes my mind off everything.
Listen, bro, you know what? I've been stuck in this cage for way too long. You know what? It's time for me to start riding my bike again.
Yeah, well, you can ride your bike again, but there's no way I'm getting on the back of a dude's bike.
Oh, hey.
Let alone a chick's bike. It's not gonna happen.
Hey, dude, come on now. You know what? We'll get you a nice sidecar. Hey, you'll be all set. You can stretch out.
Yeah, and
Wind in your face.
Yeah, pick bugs out of my teeth for a week.
Hey,
Forget it.
Protein, dude, protein.
Uh-huh.